All right, just a little midweek update here before the general meeting tonight for those of you that can't make it. Um, City Council this morning, or I should say this afternoon, didn't have a quorum. 17 aldermen showed up to address the resolution drafted by Alderman Tabaris and the 12 aldermen. Think about that. Even one of the people who signed onto it, Alderman Curtis, doesn't even show up to a resolution that he signed his name to. It just goes to show you the indifference that the majority of the city council has for the men and women who protect this city and their asses. The reality is, Vasquez, who motioned to adjourn, hates the police. He simply showed up just to be an objector and to make sure that the meeting ended as quickly as possible. Now, I was signed up to address the congregation under the Public Speaking Act, and I was told, well, the meeting never took place because they didn't have a quorum. But yet they still felt the need to motion to adjourn, have a second, and they adjourned a meeting that clearly never even happened because they didn't have a quorum according to them, or they just didn't want any public sentiment. And the President Pro Tem, Alderman Riley, absolutely knew I was in attendance and would have been made aware that I was registered to be on the public speaking. He actually motioned and acknowledged me up on the third floor balcony before he even took to the altar, where he just did the mayor's bidding. It's disgusting the way we're being treated. And this isn't even personal. It's literally a wake-up call that every member should have. They just don't give a damn. The mayor stood in front of a microphone yesterday and repeatedly lied over and over and over again, and blaming me as if I am misleading this membership into oblivion. Everybody is adults. The reality that I've explained to everybody, that I'm simply echoing the sentiment of the membership that do not want to be mandated or bullied by anybody, whether it's the mayor, city council, or the useless leadership at 35th and Michigan. She lied about the fact that we inundated the system with conscientious objections that weren't even allowed. That's not true, because the spreadsheet that I was given today had 680 applications for conscientious objection, not thousands. The system wasn't over inundated. They just refused to acknowledge them. We've said from the beginning that the Supreme Court has said there is no requirement to have a priest's signature on the religious exemption. It is your individual belief, and that is good enough. The city created that form. Human Resources added that. Whoever added that requirement put the city in a very precarious liability issue, because there will be court proceedings in the future, and the city will be held accountable for challenging people's religious exemptions and forcing them to get a signature or even outright denying them. They like to write checks to people for the most piddly of offenses or embarrassments whenever they sue the city. Well, they're going to have a giant bill come due when the mass majority of the members who were denied exemptions have their say in court. I guess we're going to see how this is panning out. Another topic I want to touch on is our ignorant state's attorney and the fact that she literally tried to pretend like she supported the police by saying no criminal charges would be brought. Oh, gee, thanks for doing us the favor. But in the morning, she was at COPA colluding with the new ridiculous head of that organization about, you can guess what? They're absolutely going to go after, discipline-wise, those two officers. And just because Kim Foxx said, I'm not charging them criminally, she was certainly making sure that Andrea Kirsten was going to go after them discipline-wise. So regrettably, their lives are still going to be in limbo. And it's a fact that she was at COPA in the morning. Her name's on the sign-in sheet. Her security detail was outside and even acknowledged that she was inside meeting with Andrea Kirsten. So, I mean, you talk about a fair shake. There is nothing fair about this system for our officers. But to sit there and say that a policy was, violated, a foot chase policy, and that Officer Solano created the conditions that led to the shooting. It was an armed offender running through the neighborhood. That just goes to show you they would literally rather have armed offenders running through the neighborhood than have the police arrest them, as long as apparently they don't shoot anybody at that moment. But if they shoot them later on, it'd be, why didn't you arrest them when you had the chance? And shame on every elected official for not standing up and saying that there was nothing wrong with that shooting. There shouldn't be any discipline, and pushing back even on the weak narrative that the state's attorney was trying to put forth. And heaven forbid anybody at the police department stands up for the members that they supposedly lead. And I stress the word supposedly. Why isn't, Superintendent Brown having a press conference talking about the actions those two officers took and how he supports those actions and doesn't feel any discipline is warranted, and we should put this behind us and move on to a violent spring and summer that's ahead with manpower issues that are not going to go away anytime soon? It just defies logic, but that's where we're at. And stay tuned for the Wednesday update. That's all or the Friday update, I should say. Have a good night.